Okay, I'm John from Oxidation Technologies, and I want to talk today about check valves. We've got a situation here with a couple of leaking bad check valves, and they illustrate the importance of having a good check valve. I can take this fitting loose here just to show how badly this check valve is leaking. And we've got a check valve right here at the venturi, but also a second check valve here. That's this type of check valve, and that one is leaking as well. And then over at the end here, we've got a final line of defense. The ozone getting pulled into this venturi would be coming into this fitting here. And we're going to use check valves to do as much as possible to keep the water from going back up into the ozone generator and coming out here. So right here we've got an upside down air vent that's used as a water trap, so that that water that is flowing back doesn't come up to the generator, but will just run out of this air vent. When that water, so inside the air vent, you can see this here. There's a float. That float, when it floats up, it's going to open this valve to allow the water to drain out. If there's no water coming back, this float comes back down and then closes this. But the ozone is able to pass directly from this line up to the ozone generator. This is a way to trap the water that could flow back. Okay, so we talked about using an air vent like this as backflow prevention. This is the normal orientation. The way these work, as the water, if you've got gas in the top of a tank, it's going to allow it to flow out of this vent, but as it fills up with water, this little float begins to float, and as it floats up, it moves down and closes a little valve here. So in this position, no gas can pass down through here and out of this vent here. When it's used in the upside down orientation here in backflow prevention, that water fills this up, but instead of getting all the way full to the top and going back to your generator, it'll lift this float up and allow the water to drain out. Now this here is the 1AVCW. It's got the clear plastic. It's useful. You can see what's going on in there, and there are some repairable components in there. I also have the stainless steel version. This one isn't repairable. It does the same thing. It's got the float inside, behaves the same way. This one here is the 11AV, and both of these will work as a water trap. This one, you can see it does have a little bit larger orifice, but both of them will work either as a vent on the top of a tank or upside down like this as a water trap. Another option would be a balance barometer. That's also on our website. Balance barometer, it's a similar concept. It's a water trap. It works good in a situation where we don't have where the ozone is not under pressure, but it's just being pulled through a vacuum. But it's the same principle. But these check valves are crucial to the health of an ozone system, but it's something that needs to be regularly maintained. As you can see here, over time, this ozone, it's going to ruin the seal in check valve here as well as here. I've got these new check valves here. These are the two that are being used. This one here, it does have a spring inside. It's got a medium crack pressure. The ozone will flow through one way, and it's got a spring on the back side that will pull it back. But over time, if debris gets caught in there or that seal wears out, it's going to leak like this one here is doing. This particular check valve is very inexpensive, but it is effective as long as it's replaced on a regular basis. Any of these check valves, just like changing the oil in your car, it simply needs to be done. You need to be proactive maintaining this part of an ozone system. And this particular check valve works really well because it forms a very tight seal, but it does not have a spring in there. It relies just on the rubber flexing, so it works very well to seal, but it doesn't have, under very low pressure situations, it's not going to seal as well, but it needs to be replaced often, or at least every 6 months, if not more. There's another type of check valve. We will sometimes use that as the last line of defense, close up to the ozone generator. It's got a stronger spring in there, so it's got, you can actually see the little spring in there. These are more vulnerable to little bits and pieces of dirt or so on, causing it to not serve as a check valve. And then finally, at the end, you might want to have a motorized ball valve of some sort to prevent that would close when the pump stops. Now, as you can see, I'm going to turn this pump on. Just keep the video down here. As soon as the pump turns on, it creates suction with this venturi and pulls this water back out. But as soon as I turn the pump off, you see that water coming back up, and this would be a case where that water could come right back to the ozone generator. So these check valves are very important, need to be maintained. These are easy to replace. If I take this off, well, right away we've got water coming out. So one of the things you can do to make it easier to replace these is to turn your pump back on. It creates the suction there, and once I've got suction on there, I can replace this check valve without having a lot of water coming out, and put the new check valve on. There's a little arrow on there, tells you which way it goes. I don't have the tools to take that fitting off, but I'll turn it off. Okay, now we've got a good seal with the new check valve. Any of these check valves are often used with the Mozzie injector. This is the 784. These injectors do come with a built-in check valve. These are, they can be used in some situations, but it's all it's got is a 1/4 inch barb. Over time, that can get brittle and break off. This check valve, mainly serves the function of when you're installing it, and can be used for lighter duty. But over time, the ozone is going to be hard on this check valve. It's easy to just take this cap off, take this gray seal off. There's a little ball inside there. If you want to use that check valve for a time, these parts are replaceable as well, but we often recommend just replacing it. You can just thread one of these stainless steel check valves on as a much better alternative. So as long as we've got water flowing through, we create suction. Suction pulls the, make sure everything's coming this way, but when the water pressure stops, you're vulnerable to have water coming back through. So I hope this helps you understand check valves and when they can be used. We typically use at least 3 different check valves on our systems. They've each got their strengths and weaknesses. This is a medium crack pressure. It's got a lighter spring in. This one works good because it seals good but has no spring and is prone to leaking under really low pressure situations. And having kind of a final backup of a water trap. This is a more expensive way to solve water backing up, and you may not need something like this as long as you maintain these check valves very carefully. So I hope this helps you, and check our website for any further information on check valves. We've got all these parts available to purchase, and be happy to answer further questions. Thank you.